So the first Canva workaround that I want to show you is creating a bulleted list that doesn't start with the number one. The example I'm going to use is the one, the Canva graphic that I actually found this problem on. It's a social post that we wanted to do for Niki Clark Marketing, 46 content ideas for July. And obviously I wanted to stretch the 46 ideas out over several slides instead of trying to cram, 46 ideas all into one slide. So I went ahead and left the first one so that you could see what I was going for. So I wanted to do 1 through 8, 9 through 16, blah, blah, blah. So this is what the first one ended up looking like. I just left it so you could see it. And then I wanted to go obviously to the second slide and do 9 through 16. I went ahead and already copied some of the text so that it would be easier to show you. So these are just the first three. I didn't do the rest of them just because we're trying to keep this fairly quick. So let's just say this is what I was going for. I wanted to put 3 on here and I bulleted my list, but I want 1 through 3. But in reality, I actually want 9 through 16. So if I try to delete this and hit 9 and delete this and hit 10, it works. I mean, the bullets are the, the lines are there, the 9 through, 9, 10, and 11, they're there. However, it's not formatted the same. So if you see here, there's no tab on the second line, there's no hanging line the way that there is here. And this just, to me, looks much cleaner. You can clearly see where each line is supposed to start. And I did not want this to look this way. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this. So this is what I ended up having to do. Basically creating an individual line for each idea plus its own individual number. So if you can see here how they're highlighted, this is one individual text box. This is also an individual text box. So basically what I did was I took these lines and just turned them into their own individual text boxes. So I'll just take that one out, put it back. We don't want it to all be bold. And so now this is its own individual line. This is obviously not going to look as clean and concise as the first one because I'm just going through this fairly quickly to show you what I had to do. So then just to keep the formatting consistent, I'm just going to duplicate the box and I'm going to put my number 9. And that's all I'm going to have there. You can obviously align this however you want, but you want it to be very close. And there's your line. You would do that for each individual line. I know it seems really tedious, but once you start flowing through it, it actually comes together fairly quickly. So again, you would just, and I like to duplicate because it keeps the formatting, and then you would. So just for quickness and not doing all 8 of these, you would eventually line everything up. So you want to have everything kind of sized correctly. Canva is really great because it will tidy everything up for you. So now they're all aligned evenly. You can do the same thing here. Align to the top. Align to the top. If my mouse will work, align to the top, should already be done. And then what I did to make things easier was I just grouped everything and then aligned each group. And that's that. Like I said, I know it's really tedious and it takes a lot more time than just being able to type in a bulleted list. But this is the only way that I have found where you could get a bulleted list that doesn't start with 1, that is formatted the same way with the hanging second line. So that's that. For this next Canva workaround, we're going to stretch a single photo or a single image over several frames. I went ahead and did one for you so that you can see what I'm talking about, and then I'm going to walk you through how I did it. So you can see that I do have one single image That's what it's supposed to look like. I'm showing you what it's supposed to look like stretched out over the whole graphic so that you will see what I'm talking about here in just a second. I went ahead and just left the frames blank and aligned them and everything. You can obviously do this however you want. You could have the letters spread out all over the place. It's up to you. It's, you know, your vision, whatever you want yours to look like. This is just how I'm doing it for right now. So I'm going to use the same photo so that you can see what it looks like. And I wanted to fit it over all the pictures or all the frames, right? It just doesn't do that. You can group them together. It still doesn't work. You are going to have to individually add your photo to every frame. And now they're all the same. So you can see that the same part of the photo is in each frame, which doesn't look bad, but that's not necessarily what we're going for. We want it to look like the picture has been stretched out over all of these frames. So what you can do is you're basically going to make sure that you align the photo to every frame the same way. So what you want to do is you're going to crop the image technically. So just double click it. And then you want to move the image inside your frame to where it stretches out over the entire thing. You could leave it like this. I wanted mine to be more centered, so I'm just going to eyeball it. You can always turn your guidelines on, your grid lines. You can also, if you wanted it to be, you know, a different part, you can stretch it out and have it aligned. But I do think it's important to have an alignment somewhere just so you can see it better, so you can like see where you're putting things. Again, I'm just eyeballing it because it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect. If I was really intent on it being exactly the same and I wanted it to be this middle part of the image, I would turn my guidelines on. But for what we're doing today, I'm just going to leave it like this. So there's one letter. You can see that it's now looking a little bit different than the other four. And we're just going to repeat that process. So you want to double click on your letter, stretch your image to where it fits your frame. And again, I'm just eyeballing it to about the center. I'm going to do the same thing for all 5. I definitely don't have it perfect because you can see how the image is a little glitchy. When you get it lined up exactly right, which I didn't do on any of these because like I said, I don't have my grid lines on, but the picture kind of blends in together and you won't get all that glitchiness. But I'm just going to align it with my V since that's the one that's right next to it. So that's it. You have your image stretched out over all 5 of your frames. I know it seems really tedious, but it's one of those things that once you start doing it, it comes together really quickly. It's actually not that complicated. You have all of the tools within Canva that make it easier. You have your guidelines. You can align, you know, your letters a certain way. You can move things around. You can really customize this any way that you want to, but that is how you stretch one image over several frames. Okay, so for this video, we're going to talk about masking. Masking is just a term that means hiding a portion of a graphic, an element of a graphic behind another element. So for this example, we have Niki is sitting on a couch with the word marketing behind her. If we didn't mask this image, the word marketing would be over Niki's face. So this is how we're going to do this. So this is the more raw version of the image. I left the other little elements on there because they're not part of it. But what I'm going to do is copy the word marketing and I'm going to paste it down here so it's in the same spot. Like I said, you can see that the word marketing is going to be over Niki's face unless we mask it. So all you want to do, just duplicate the background image. It's going to be the same picture. You can go ahead and align it if you want to, because this image is easy because it's stretched out over the frame kind of perfectly. And then we're going to do Canva's background remover. It just takes the whole background away. If I move it around, you can see that it's just Niki. And then we're just going to position it back to the right spot. That's it. That's really all that this one takes, is just duplicating the image, removing the background, and then moving that central part of that image over the existing image. If you didn't line it up correctly, it would, I mean, you could even do something like this if you wanted to, but that doesn't really look nice. But, essentially you're just moving the person or the main aspect of a graphic, of an image, over another element of your graphic. So that's masking. Okay, so now I'm going to walk you through adding text to only a portion of a video. I'm going to use a video that we've already edited that already has text in it just to make it a little bit faster. But first, I think it's important to just see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to show you a little clip of the video. Okay, so in that clip, you saw a couple of elements, a couple of pieces of text that came into the frame and then left the frame. If I didn't set these to do that, then they would stay over that portion of the video for the entirety of the video. And obviously we don't want that. So what you want to do is click your frame, and let's just say for the sake of the video that you didn't already have text here, we can add a text box and we'll just say example, move it somewhere. And then, so now this piece of text will stay on this frame for the entire frame. So if I start it at the beginning, it's there and it's going to stay there the whole time. It's not going to move to any subsequent frames. It's only going to stay on this one. But obviously we don't want it over the entire video. So right click on any of the elements in your screen. It doesn't really matter which one. And you want to show your timing. So this is going to show you everything that's on this particular frame. So this one right here is the kind of intro text, hey, it's Nikki. And you can see that I have this timing right here set to only this portion of the video. This is the same, this only is on this portion, but this is stretched out over the entire frame. So let's just say I want it to be right there at the end, just for whatever reason. And you can hide your timing and play your video. And there's your little text box. So it's only on this one portion of your video. If you split your video up enough, then you won't have too many of these. So when I first started doing this, I didn't know that it was helpful to split up frames into smaller portions. So if I clicked on this frame, it would be the entire video and it would have every single piece of text that I'd put on there, which makes it really difficult to find it when you have, 50 text boxes and elements and graphics and cute little animations and stuff on there. It would cover the entire screen basically. So I couldn't really work with it that well, especially when I got towards the end. It also made seeing the timing portion really difficult because this would be one thing, this would be one, this would be one, and it would literally take up my entire screen because it would just be stretched out all the way across my screen, showing me every single thing that I have in my video. I find this way to be a lot easier. To just pick little portions and split it up. I am going to show you an alternate way of doing this. And this is kind of, I think, the way that Nikki prefers to do it. So she would split her screen for every element that she had. So what she would do is, let's say she wants that to be there and that's it. So she would split her screen. My computer would work properly. She would split not her screen, but split her video here. And she would add her text to this frame. And then that would be the only text that would be on this frame. So if we looked at the timing now, that's the only part that's on this element or this portion of the video. And then she would do the same thing here. So wherever she wanted this, she would split that page right there. And so that would only exist on this portion of the video. It works both ways. I just kind of pick portions of the video and split it that way. That's just the way that I find it easier to do it. Nikki's way is not difficult. It's just you would have considerably more individual frames of your video, but whichever way works for you, That's how it's done. Basically, you're just timing your elements. Okay, so for this last video, I'm going to show you several tips that make using Canva just that much easier. I personally find Canva to be quite user-friendly. However, there are some little tweaks every now and then that can make things even easier. And one of those is creating and using a brand kit. I'm going to use one that we already have set up just to make it quicker. But over here on your left-hand side, you can see where it says brand. And this is our Niki Clark Marketing brand kit. You can have several. We have ones for our clients. We have ones for our personal use. They're all saved under here. And you have your logos, your color palette, the fonts that you use. You have places to add photos. We're using Niki's headshots. And then we also have these custom graphics that we use for things like backgrounds and different elements within the graphics that we create. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the background color. I want to use one of our brand colors. So I can just go up here to my little color wheel, and all of the Niki Clark Marketing brand colors are right here. So for this one, I'm going to use this purple. And then I want to add some text. So I can click this text box and add a text. It's going to just pick our body text. So public sans, it's just a generic text that we use for most things. But I don't like it. It's not what I want to use today. So I'm going to obviously make this bigger just so you can see it. And I want to change it to a different font. Just click your font. And this is what it, originally pulls up as. Just scroll down, Niki Clark Marketing, all of our brand fonts are right here. So I'm just going to pick one. And then that's part of our brand right there. I want to change this. Let's just say I want a different color. That's it. Everything's already saved within Canva. It makes it super easy. And anytime you're creating a graphic, I recommend doing this to keep your branding consistent. You don't want to have, 100 different fonts and 100 different colors all over your feed. So this is just a way to keep that consistency. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to show you how to make a bold font bolder. So this is one of our brand kit fonts. It's just a public sans, and let's just say for the graphic that I'm doing, I want it to be a really bold version of this font. So I can click bold, and it does obviously make it bolder, but I want it to be even bolder than that. I want it to be bigger, thicker. So what I'm going to do is go to Effects, and I'm going to click Outline. And I want to change this color to whatever the font color is. So it's easy this time because we're just using a black font. And see, it immediately makes it look big and bold. I can adjust it to where it's still, not all blended together. So I can adjust it to there. And you can see this is what it originally looked like. And here it is, just, made just that little bit bolder. This also is really good if you want to have a background color on your text, but you don't want a full background block. So let's say I want to put this word over or with a colorful background, but I don't want a background block. So I can change the outline and adjust the thickness. So now I have a background behind my word without the whole background bubble. So it does look a little bit different. So this is what it would look like, if I had done it the traditional way. So that's just ways to use that outline effect that's already in Canva. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to narrow down the search for Canva graphics and photos. There's literally millions of them, and it can be really overwhelming to find just that right one. So if you take a second to just narrow it down for yourself, it can make that search a little bit easier. So we're going to go to our elements and we're going to go to photos. I'm already in here. And let's just say, since we already kind of used a mountainy photo earlier, we'll look for photos of mountains. So here's a bunch of pretty pictures of mountains. Ooh, oh, they're so pretty. We love them. But it's just a little too many. I don't think that this is exactly what I'm looking for, but this right here seems like something I could work with. So I'm going to click my three dots, and there's two different ways that you can do this. So you can go to your three dots and you can see more like this. and it'll show you images that are similar in a way to the image that you already chose. See here, it has this bird. It's because it's seeing this part of it and kind of seeing, like, making them similar. We can scroll down and you have, some that are kind of like the one that you were originally looking at. Not exactly what I'm going for. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it a different way. So I'm going to click on my three dots again, and I'm going to look at these keywords right here, and I can see more of them. There's a lot. But let's just say I think this mountain and motivation are something that might work for me. So I'm going to do mountain motivation. And here's a bunch more images like the one that I originally was looking at. So that's just a quick little tip on how to narrow down the search for those graphics and photos. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to change the color scheme of a graphic using a photo. I just threw some stuff on here just for ease and time. I just have some plain elements. These are just shapes. This is a word with that background effect that I showed you. This is a line that's not a shape, but a graphic. You will know note, excuse me, that I can change the color of this. It needs to be something that you can do that with for this to work. So I'm just going to set that to one of our brand colors. And I also just threw a multicolored graphic on here so you can see this thing kind of in action. So this is a graphic again, but it does have the ability to change the colors. So I could change these all to our brand colors if I wanted. You can't see that. But so just make sure it's a graphic that you can change the colors on, or this little trick won't work. I've already picked a image out that I think will work just because it's quite colorful. So I'm just going to paste it onto my picture, or my graphic, excuse me. I can make it smaller and just move it out of the way for right now. But basically all you want to do, let's say these are the colors that I want to use for my graphic. I like all of these, this blue, this pink, this orange, the yellow. So what I'm going to do is right click, and I'm going to apply colors to page. It's now taken all the colors, or not all of them, but the colors from this, and changed them. And I can shuffle through it. I can do it as many times as I want. And it'll keep finding different colors from this image and applying them to the elements that I have on my page. So that's just a really quick way to change the color scheme completely. This obviously would kind of negate a brand kit if you were using one, or if this is a way that you wanted to create a brand kit, you can put some elements on a page, apply those colors to the page, and then find the hex codes for these colors and add them to your brand kit. Okay, so this is Canva's tidy up feature. I've just thrown some circles on here, just for making it easier. But what you want to do is highlight all of your elements. You're going to go to your little dots and go to space evenly. You want to click tidy up. Now everything is aligned vertically and horizontally. I don't like how close it is to the top of the frame. That's because this circle right here was at that top of the frame when I hit tidy up. So it found whichever one was at that, that level, and tidied it up to that. The same with the side. So it picked whichever one was furthest out and it tidied it up that way. So let's say I wanted it to be more like this, more within the frame. So I just would do it again, tidy it up. They are touching. It's just because they're a little too big for this. But so that's just a way to, tidy all your elements up. Let's just say I only have these three, and I want them to be more in a straight line. So I'm going to tidy them up again. Now they're in a straight line. I can also space them out further. And space them evenly. So that tidy up and that space evenly feature are really convenient if you're trying to align a bunch of different elements in certain ways. This was also something, if you've watched any more of the videos on this blog, the alignment and the spacing evenly is what I did in the 46 content ideas just to make everything look more bulleted. I spaced everything evenly. So that's just the tidy up feature. It's super convenient. It does not always do exactly what you want. So there are times where it's going to do something really wonky. So let's see what it does with this. So see, it obviously wasn't going for that, but because I had so much with that it was trying to work with, it didn't, I don't think it understood, when you talk about it like it's a person these days. But it just didn't really grasp the concept of what I was going for. So you do have to be a little intentional with it. And see there, it got the hint on that one. But tidy up is just a really easy to use feature. It just makes, putting a bunch of elements on a graphic a little bit more simple. So this tip is something that Niki taught me, that someone taught her, and it seems like, why didn't we know this all along? But it's just one of those things that unless someone tells you, or unless you figure it out somehow on your own, you're gonna have some frustration with this thing. So what I want to show you is how to create a straight line within a graphic that already has elements in it. So you're going to go to your shapes and go to your lines. You don't want to use one that's under graphics because that's not what we're working with right now. This is just specifically the one that's under shapes. These are the lines that you can contort to, hit different elements within your graphic. And what I mean by that is, let's say I want this line to connect to this box, so I can curve it and then bring it down and it'll connect to this box, right? And let's say I want to leave these elements here. We'll pretend, they're text boxes or something like that, but I want to leave these here. But I want this line to extend to about right here. I don't want it to go completely off the page because that will work. See, I can make that line straight and go completely off the page. But if I want it to stop right here, it's going to try to connect to an element. If I want to, say, go shorter, it's going to try to connect again to another element. I just want it to stay straight, but I don't want it to connect to any elements, and I'm not trying to make it go the full length of the page. So it's this simple: click Shift, and then you can move your line. It's really just that simple. Just click Shift and it works. I used to create a blank page after, like, another page to this one, create my line the length that I wanted it to, and then copied and pasted it into the other graphic because I could not figure out how to do this for the longest time. But Niki told me how to do this recently because someone actually told her how to do it, and we love that about sharing Canva tips and tricks. Okay, for this one, I'm going to show you how to copy the formatting of text and move it to other portions of text. So let's say I want this to be a heading. I'm going to make it bigger. I want it to be bold, maybe all caps. I want it to be one of our brand colors. I think I might even want it to have an outline. Just change all this stuff up. Change the thickness of the outline. Okay, that's what I want all the text on this graphic to look like, and I just don't really want to go through all of those steps. So what you can do is copy the style. So just right click on your little dots, copy style. You can also do it on your keyboard, but I wanted you to be able to see it as Control-Alt-C. So you're going to copy the style, and you're going to have this little paintbrush now. And then you just click on another portion of text, and it changes it to everything that you had changed on that first one is going to now be on this. And again, it's not impossible to do without it. You can easily go through and format every single portion of that text. But if you wanted to change text quite a bit, instead of just making it bolder or just making it bigger, I mean, we made it bolder, we made it bigger, we made it all caps, we put an outline on it. So if you didn't want to go through each one of those steps individually, you can copy the style and make all of your text look the same. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to change the color of an uploaded graphic in Canva. This works best with solid color graphics or something that maybe has like a white background to it. Really the only reason I've used this is to change the color of a logo. So this is the logo, one of the logos for Niki Clark Marketing. It's uploaded in our brand kit. It's uploaded in black, the same as our other logo. Just leave that there just so we can see it. But let's say we very rarely use black backgrounds on our graphics, but let's just say for argument's sake that today I really needed to have Niki's logo, but I needed it on a black background and I didn't want to have, a shadow box behind it or anything. I just wanted the logo to be there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the logo and I'm going to go to edit. And I'm going to find where it says duotone. I'm just going to click on that. I can change it to, colors that are already in here. But let's just say I want to change it to one of our branding colors. So for example, I want to change it to the peach color that is kind of the trademark Niki Clark color. So I'm going to click custom. And I'm going to go down here to shadows. And unfortunately, the only thing about duotone is it doesn't bring up your brand color. So you would have to either just find it in the eyedropper, or if you know your hex codes, you can do that. And I actually have them saved. So I just will type in my hex code and there now it's changed Niki's logo from black to this peach color. And let's say I wanted to do another one. I just want to change it to maybe the purple that we use. And it's the purple that is the background. But now what I can do is change that background to black, which is what the whole purpose of this was. And now the logos are no longer black. They've been changed to colors within our branding color palette. Like I said, this really doesn't work well with multicolored images because it's only going to find the shadows and the highlights. It works best with solid images like this or images that maybe have a black or white background. Logos specifically is what I've used this for. It just helps give you a little bit more creativity when you're trying to make colors work, because a lot of logos are uploaded with brand colors. So if your logo is blue, but you want to have your brand colors and your background and your brand colors are blue, then it kind of will all blend together. So this is just a way to give you a little bit more flexibility within your graphics. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you were able to take something from this. I hope that maybe you learned something new. If you want more Canva tips and tricks or just help with your marketing, make sure you follow Niki on LinkedIn and Instagram and subscribe to her YouTube channel at Niki Clark Marketing.